Hi internet friends, welcome to or welcome back to our channel Don't Quit Your Day Job. If you've clicked on this video, then you're going to spend the week with me reading 2 of the books off of my Spring TBR. I will leave in the description box where I picked 10 books for my Spring TBR for April and for May. I don't do monthly TBRs, but I do seasonal TBRs. Now, of those 10, only 7 of them are out right now. The other 2 come out on May 13th. So of those 7, I thought it would be fun to pick the highest rated and the lowest rated book on Goodreads and read them both in this video. The highest rated book came in at a 4.13, and it is Scythe and Sparrow from the Ruinous Love trilogy. It is about Fionn and Rose, Fionn being the brother to the first two male leads in Leather and Lark and Butcher and Blackbird. This book series has taken the internet by storm, especially TikTok. It has gone completely viral. And so this one follows Fionn, who's a doctor in Nebraska, and Rose, who's a motorcycle rider in the circus. And if you don't know this about the original 2 books, it's about serial killers who fall in love. So one of the characters or both of the characters are a serial killer. I'm not sure in this book, but I assume it's Rose. I could be wrong. They both could be. It could be Fionn. It could be Rose. I'm not sure, but it does involve serial killing. I would say that if you have any food sensitivities, if like food things gross you out, I would read the trigger warnings for this book. I've been told by multiple people who have read the books that that have food sensitivities, that the books have made them a little queasy when it came to food. And I would just read all of the trigger warnings, but I'm very excited to pick this book up and I can't wait to see where it goes. Now, for the lowest rated book, I was very shocked. It got a 3.47, and it is Lunar Love by Lauren Jensen. Now, it is about Olivia, who's about to take over her family's matchmaking business in California in Chinatown. And their twist on matchmaking is that they use your zodiac and the traits of your zodiac to match you to your future soulmate. And they have a great success rate. And it got started by her grandmother way back in the day, and then her mom and her aunt took over, and now it's her turn to become head matchmaker. Well, that's about to get disrupted by a guy by the name of Bennett O'Brien, who's coming in with an app of some kind that's going to take and could ruin her family's legacy. I'm not sure what about the app makes it directly compete with them, but something about the app does. So Olivia and Bennett make a deal that they're both going to find love for each other. So he's going to use the app. I'm assuming he's going to use the app, and she's going to use her matchmaking abilities with the zodiac, and the first person to fall in love loses. So I'm very excited to read this. I am 24 pages into the book right now. I will say that I'm not immediately jiving with the writing. That is something I've noticed, that the author uses, instead of she, her, you reinserts the name a lot. So instead of being like, she did this, she'll say Olivia did this. And then the next sentence will say Olivia again. So that's not something that I'm absolutely loving. And I did clock it in the first chapter. I'm in the middle of the second chapter now. One of the things I'm really wondering is if, knowing these Goodreads ratings, because I normally don't look at Goodreads ratings after I buy the book. I use Goodreads ratings sometimes to help me pick out what books I'm going to buy, but after I buy the book, I don't use Goodreads ratings. And I had read the back of this and loved it so long ago, picked out book of the month, that I had no clue that it had a low rating. I wonder if now, knowing the Goodreads ratings, if that's going to affect how I view the book and what I rate the book. So that'll be something interesting for me to think about this week while I read them. So I will come back once I've been some about either a quarter or halfway through this book and let you know what my thoughts are. I'm now 1/3 through Lunar Love. That puts me at page 108, and I have some thoughts. In my last clip, I mentioned that she had a tendency to use people's names instead of putting a pronoun somewhere where it would work. And that is something she's still doing, but where it was bothering me in chapters 1 and 2, I have very quickly gotten used to the writing style. And in chapter 9, I'm not even noticing it anymore. So I will say this is an incredibly fast read, and I got to 108 pages in just a couple hours, incredibly quickly. What I will say that I'm hating though, and I do use the word hate because I very much dislike this trope, is not the trope of mistaken identity as much as the trope of omission of identity. So Olivia knows who Bennett is and what Bennett does for a living, but Bennett doesn't know who Olivia is and what she does for a living, really. He knows Olivia, but he doesn't know all of the facts, and it just feels really deceitful. It especially feels really deceitful as they have gone on multiple dates at this point with each other, and she has not told him. Now, if I'm reading foreshadowing correctly, he's going to find out in this chapter. And so pretty quickly he's going to find out. But we're a third of the way through the book and he hasn't even found out. And in the synopsis of the book, they mentioned that the two of them would get into a competition and they would see who could help each other fall in love with first. Her obviously using Lunar Love and her connections that way. Him using his beta app to help her find love. So if we only have 2/3 of the book left, I'm really scared that how in the world well fleshed out is it going to be for them to him to figure out who she is, them to get into the competition, them to go on dates, them to fall in love, and then to end up together. It feels like there's not much left of the book for that to happen. Now, like I said, it is a super quick read. I think I'll get through it very quickly. I think it's going to be a 3-star book. Maybe 3.5 stars, but I don't see it being any more than that at this point. I just, with the trope of omission of identity and already being a third of the way through, and we haven't even gotten to the competition part of the synopsis, I just don't see how it's going to be well fleshed out enough to feel like all the pieces really got their time to shine and their justice. I'm officially a little bit over halfway through this book and I'm liking it a whole lot more than I was in my last clip. So that's a good thing. They both officially know who each other are, which has taken away that element of like mistaken or omitted identity that I absolutely hate in books. So that has helped a ton. Also, the competition has started, which I think is just fascinating to see two people who are attracted to each other try to help each other find dates so that hopefully they'll fall in love with someone else and win a bet. And I think that just brings in the human condition and makes for a bunch of misunderstandings that feel like more than just miscommunication, like a conversation could happen. Like it feels like more than just a conversation could happen and we could clear this up. It does actually feel like we are having some miscommunication that is well earned and well deserved. So I'm absolutely adoring it right now. It's still only a 3.5 for me at this point. I don't know what would make it a 4. I'm not really sure because I do really like Olivia. I like Bennett. I like both the families. We have met a lot of Olivia's family. We haven't met any of Bennett's, but we have met a lot of Olivia's family and seen what's going on with them. I love the structure of the family and how involved they are in each other's lives, and I just think that that's so fun. I don't know what would make it a 4-star or 4.5 star. Right now it's really sitting at a 3.5 star, which is a good book. Like that's not anything to sneeze at, but right now really that's where it's at, is 3.5 stars. So I'll probably come back. It's a quick and easy read. I'll probably come back when I'm done with the book. I don't think there's going to be anything else that happens that I really need to talk about, and then we'll start Scythe and Sparrow. So overall, this is a cute book, cute read, fast read, very, very fast read. If you love the Chinese Zodiac or you just love like a rom-com feel, this does feel very rom-com-y. This does feel very springy. I do really enjoy this. She's at a baseball game right now, and I just feel like a baseball game screams spring, so I absolutely love that. I just really think that this is a cute palette cleanser of a book. Not quite a Hallmark movie, a little elevated from a Hallmark movie, but really that like feel good, brain off kind of book. That's the vibe I'm getting from it right now. It's been a couple days and I finished Lunar Love. I actually finished it a couple days ago, but I wanted to spend some time and think about it before I came on here and told y'all what I thought. I'm landing at a 3.5, which is pretty close to the 3.47 that it's rated on Goodreads. I will be rounding down to a 3 on Goodreads because it's not a 3.75 to be rounded up to a 4. It's only a 3.5, so that rounds down to a 3, and it's not like a really almost 3.75. It's definitely a 3.5. I really enjoyed the book. It was beautiful moments between Olivia and her family at the end. I did cry. Now, I cry at a ton of endings of books, so if you're not somebody who cries pretty regularly, I don't think that this book will make you cry, but I did cry because it was a pretty solid 3 until the end when I got to the end, which made it a 3.5. Some of the things I just didn't like about it is I felt that the conflict that Olivia and Bennett had felt like they didn't spend enough time resolving that. I had been really afraid that the competition would not be fleshed out well enough, and that ended up being fleshed out perfectly fine. But when we get to the third act conflict and what some people call the third act breakup, I just didn't love how it was resolved. I don't feel like they did enough talking. They didn't spend enough time really communicating to get to the end, to the point where they both had forgiven each other and could move on from it. So I had a really big struggle there at the end of that. And so for that, I only gave it a 3.5 instead of closer to a 4-star. I do totally recommend it. It's a clean romance. So if that's something that you're like always wondering is how spicy a romance is, this has no spice in it whatsoever. So I totally recommend it. It was a very sweet family rom-com. It felt like a rom-com. Like it felt like a 90s rom-com that you could see on TV now as the rise of the rom-com is coming back. It definitely felt like that. So that I absolutely adored and loved. And if you're just looking for a good time, have some fun, I think that you'll really love this. I just didn't love how it resolved that third act conflict. So after I finished Lunar Love, I started immediately into Scythe and Sparrow, and before I could even talk to you guys, I got halfway through. So I did not know when I started this book that we would be going all the way back to the beginning, like where Butcher and Blackbird starts. So we are actually following both book 1 and book 2's timeline simultaneously in this book, and I didn't know that, and I absolutely love that because we get to see pieces of them, their interpretation of pieces of the puzzle that we hadn't gotten to see before. And so I really am enjoying that they're all happening simultaneously. That wasn't the case with the second book. I will say that this book so far, and I'm on page 236 of 390 pages, is way less graphic than either of the previous 2 books. The main female character, who is the multiple deleter, if you've read the second book, she is much more squeamish than the other 2 female leads, FMCs, so it is not near as graphic. Nothing gross has happened, really, so it has been completely clean in that aspect. I think that if the other 2 made you a little queasy, so far at least, this one has not done that. So we'll see how it goes through the rest of it. But I'm absolutely flying through the book, and I'm absolutely adoring it. Fiona and Rose are 2 of my favorite characters. I think they might be my 2 favorite characters of the series so far. I know a lot of people absolutely love Rowan and Sloane from book 1. I like Leather and Lark better than I like Butcher and Blackbird. So I like Lark a little bit more than Sloane. I like Lachlan a little bit more than Rowan, but I am liking Fiona and Rose more than all the other couples. So they so far have been my favorite couple, and they've been the one I was most excited to get to. What can I tell you about it? This book is about, well, I told you previously when I told you the star rating, it's still about a girl who is part of a motorcycle. She rides in a motorcycle ring in the circus, and she also does tarot. So tarot plays a big part of this book, and she reads cards at the circus as well. She gets hurt in the beginning due to something that is partially her fault. I will say it is her fault. So she has to be laid up and can't be in the circus for like 6 months, and then she stays with Fiona while she's doing that. He offers her a place to stay, and she stays with Fiona. one of the things that I wondered how they were going to do is how they were going to span all the books. And this one has had time jumps in it, and that's how they've been able to span both books so well, is that there have been huge chunks of time because she does go back to the circus. And so there are huge spans of time that we don't see them together, and then we see them together again. And so I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying that we're spanning that whole time from the beginning of Butcher and Blackbird. So I'm going to probably come back with my final thoughts when I'm done with the book. But for now, that's what I'm thinking. It's been a couple days since I've updated you, and a couple days since I finished Scythe and Sparrow, but I have finished Scythe and Sparrow, and sadly, I'm giving it a 3.5, which is lower than its 4+ star rating that it has on Goodreads. And the reason for that is that 1, it was too long, and 2, it had 2 epilogues too many, which is the number of epilogues that it has was 2. I felt like 1 was total fan service so that people could see all the characters from the first books, but it was really wholly unnecessary. It didn't really wrap up their story any better by seeing those people, and I felt like it didn't service the plot. The second one felt like a backdoor pilot to her new series that she'll be starting, which it gave it away. If you've read these 3 books, then you'll understand where the person comes from. I think that you won't have to have read these books to be able to read that series, but it also felt unnecessary. I think that could have stood on its own by itself later on whenever she publishes it. Now, I will say that of all 3 books, this is the most commercially just romance book. When you say serial killers who fall in love, you expect a lot of gore, you expect a lot of gross things to happen. And in the first 2 books, I will say that did occur a lot more than it happened in this book. This book was much more just commercially romantic without all of the gross, gory details that happened. I think that played a lot because Rose is a lot more squeamish than Sloane and Lark are. And so it happened a whole lot less. The part that the brothers played almost no part in this, neither did the girls, which I think makes sense because they did live in Nebraska for a huge portion of it, or she was out on the road with the circus. So when you did see Lark and you did see Sloane, it was in very small increments. So I did miss them, but it made sense for the story. I loved the way that Taro played into this. I loved the circus element. I loved Fionn and his growth and character growth. But overall, it's one that in 6 months I'm going to have a hard time remembering the details of. And so for that reason, I have to give it a 3.5. I don't have a ton to say about it. It's not like one of those books that you absolutely hate, like a 2-star, or absolutely love, like a 4.5 star. It kind of just sits there in the middle at 3.5. So it got round down to a 3 on Goodreads, meaning that it was much lower than the 4+ rating that it got. So this is the end of the vlog. I read both of these books and gave both of them the exact same ratings, 3.5 stars. If I had to choose one, I would actually say that for the rom-comness and the fact that this could be a really cute movie, I happen to like Lunar Love a little bit more, which is the lower rated one. And I'm really shocked to say that because this was one of my most anticipated new releases this year. I was very excited to read Scythe and Sparrow when it came out, because I have loved the series and they are my favorite characters and I do love them, but I think I'm going to remember this one a little bit more and a little bit longer than I am going to remember this one. Both of them at 3.5 stars, so one very close to its rating on Goodreads and one a little bit farther away from it. Overall, I had a great time reading both these books. I think that for different reasons, if you love romance and you love the genre in general, that you could pick up these books and really enjoy them. And I thank you so much for being here with me today. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to say, let me know what you're currently reading, because I'd love to hear what you're currently reading. But if you don't want to do that, then leave a clown emoji, because if you read Scythe and Sparrow, that will make sense what the clown stands for, but leave a clown emoji if you don't have anything that you want to say. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel, Don't Quit Your Day Job, and we're so happy to have you here, and I'll see you next time.